Before the video begins, I just want to mention that this is a retrospective of our past 5 years here. So for a bit more information about us, I highly recommend you go and watch the channel trailer, which will be linked in the top right corner right now or at the end of the video. There will be a couple of time skips, however, more up-to-date videos are soon to come. So hit the subscribe button and notification bell if you want to get notified whenever the new videos come up. And might as well hit the like button if you enjoyed what you're seeing. Anyways, thank you for watching and enjoy the rest of the video. Everything started around 5 years ago on a patio in a rent with a few Home Depot buckets and some tomato and cucumber seedlings. However, we since then changed rents and changed houses. We moved 4 years ago on a half-acre property. The owners of this new house were really nice and allowed us to plant 3 strawberry plants in front of the house in a flower bed that was there and it was empty. The next spring we were allowed to start a small veg garden in the ground in the backyard. We wanted to start our own seedlings, and in early spring we had our first attempt. We started in a garage under a growing light or UV light and a lot of care. We were super excited to start growing our own food, so we started with quite a few of vegetables that year, such as onions, garlic, lettuce, radishes, carrots, beets, tomatoes, cucumbers, eggplants, potatoes, and quite some herbs like basil, parsley, rosemary, chamomile, dill, and thyme. Of course, not all of the vegetables were from our own seed. We purchased quite a lot of seedlings from local stores, but for us the experience was far more important than anything else. We realized that we have to learn a lot if we wanted to have a sustainable veggie garden in that place. That year was a great year for peppers, and we had a huge success growing a Romanian type of bell pepper called Gogoșar. The main differences in between the Romanian bell peppers and the bell peppers you can find here in the States is that the Romanian bell pepper, it's much more squished. It's not as tall as the bell pepper that you can find here in the States, so that's the first thing that pops up. And then the Romanian bell pepper has a much meatier walls. The walls are much thicker, it is much sweeter, and the skin it's a little bit thicker. This pepper specifically is really good when pickled because it maintains its texture really well, or used in a dish called zacuscă, which is a Romanian dish consisting of vegetables which are cooked on low heat for really long periods of time. We can cover how to make that dish in a different video. Also, the plant itself, it's really resistant to a lot of things except for frost. However, everything else in the garden was thriving and we were so blessed. My dad also made trellis for the cucumbers, and it was such a good idea in order to save space in the garden and keep them from touching the ground. The trellis, in combination with the dripping irrigation system that we installed, made it for a perfect combination and a huge harvest that year. Especially since we made them, we didn't really have to spend too much money on them, so they were really cheap to do. My grandma sent us directly from Romania a big dried thyme plant, and my mom decided to put some seeds in the soil. We ended up with 6-8 plants of thyme, and oh my god, the memories that this plant triggers every time we go in the garden. By the end of 2023, the garden has been going really healthy and strong, and the weather so far, especially during the end of 2023, has been quite in our favor. The first frost of 2023 here in Georgia came towards the end of the month of October, which lasted for 3 days of sub-zero Celsius temperatures, and most of the plants and vegetables in our garden didn't make it through. We tried to cover some of our vegetables with plastic foil that we found at Home Depot, but even then the potatoes and peppers didn't make it through. The garlic, onions, strawberries, carrots, kale, spinach, celery, they all resisted very well during that period, unlike the peppers and potatoes. The pepper leaves wilted really fast, so we collected them, the peppers, and stored them in a garage for 7 to 10 days until they were all red and ready for pickling. We also collected the last of our cherry tomatoes, which was still green at the time, and we pickled them like that. Because of the texture, they maintain a really nice texture and bite to them. The carrots, celery, kale, and spinach resisted very well, so we left them as is over winter and we didn't have any issues. As I said, the frosting has only lasted for 3 days, 3 days of sub freezing temperatures, and then after those 3 days, it was around 2 weeks of plus 70-degree temperatures. So it was a really bipolar weather at that time. It was around the same time when we collected the last of our strawberries for that season. However, we started noticing that the plants started having flowers, so we were expecting to have some fruits in a matter of a couple months. All the basil and the tomatoes that we also attempted to cover and save them during that period, they all froze, so we had no other choice but to discard. The potatoes stagnated at a fairly small size. However, by that point, we already had plenty of potatoes, so we decided to just leave them in the ground over winter as an experiment, just to see what happens. Until then, the season has been full of challenges, and we for sure learned a lot and took a lot with us. At that moment in time, we knew for certain though that we wanted to build our own house and have our own property in order to expand the garden and have be able to use more tools and things like tractors and expand the garden to the point where we could maintain ourselves only from that and not have to purchase any more vegetables from grocery stores or anything like that. Because we only lived in rent up until then, we didn't really know what the process of purchasing land or starting to build a house from the ground up was like, so we are basically just going in it blindly. Thank God that so far we have been enormously blessed, and honestly, I cannot wait to see what the future holds for us.